having worked with major brands across multiple sectors, built frameworks that help you do the one thing most AI consultants skip entirely, get their people, culture, governance ready before the tools get deployed. His new book, Harnessing the Power of AI, A Roadmap for Successful Leadership, makes a bold argument that most leaders are not ready to hear. AI adoption is not a technology decision, it's a leadership test. And right now, a lot of leaders are failing it quietly. Welcome back to the show, Phillip Corey Roark. Let's get into it.
Was the worst year for a lot of us for our mental as well as physical health. So joining us this morning is best-selling author, coach Lisa Goldenthal.
Hello and welcome. I'm Lisa G, your host. You're at the top of your game, yet the game is changing faster than ever. Strategies that got you here aren't the ones that'll keep you here. The pressure is relentless, and the fear of obsolescence looms large. That's why I'm here. Welcome to the new podcast series, Disrupted: How to Be Gritty and Unlock Performance in Business, Mindset, Wellness, and Success to help you master disruption.
Thanks for coming, and I'll see you soon.
Welcome back to the show. My guest today has spent more than 25 years at the intersection of enterprise technology, business transformation, and leadership development, having worked with major brands across multiple sectors, built frameworks that help you do the one thing most AI consultants skip entirely, get their people, culture, governance ready before the tools get deployed. His new book, Harnessing the Power of AI, A Roadmap for Successful Leadership, makes a bold argument that most leaders are not ready to hear. AI adoption is not a technology decision, it's a leadership test. And right now, a lot of leaders are failing it quietly. Welcome back to the show, Phillip Corey Roark. Let's get into it.
Great. Thanks for having me back. And it was a pleasure last time. And I'm very excited to be here today with you to talk about my new book and the work that we're doing.
Well, I really love the work you're doing. I'm a huge fan. So let's get into it with your leadership test. Your book says AI adoption is a leadership test. And I want to sit in that for a minute because most leaders I talk to are still treating it as a technology decision. What are they missing? And what does failing that test actually look like inside an organization?
That's a great question. And not to counter what we're talking about, but of course, it is a technology decision and it involves technology, but it's the leadership test as well. And what I mean by that is that it's really important for leaders to understand what they're getting themselves into and what it looks like when organizations are, and I'll expand on that, what it looks like when organizations are, or leaders are failing that test. It looks like quick acceleration and success, but then the results don't arrive. And I think that's what we're hearing from a lot of people is that I don't know about the ROI, they're questioning it. And they're looking for that solution, the magic tool, but it's not a magic tool. It's a greater skill set that leaders have to develop. And of course they can buy tools. That's not the skill set. That's a capability. And they can launch pilots. They can announce they have AI strategies. But the real test is whether they can define ownership, decision rights, governance, workflow standards, manager readiness, and data discipline. And that, of course, builds trust within the organization. And it's a long list of many different activities that we're not used to performing as leaders that need to become part of our daily vocabulary and our daily activities.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, I read the research, and 95%, according to MIT, of these rollouts are failing. So can we break that and unpack it into smaller parts and step by step, what do they need to do instead?
Yes, and I think one of the, just to build on your statistic, the IBM 2025 research shows us that only 16% of implementations are actually maturing. That's a very small number. And we also have to be kind to ourselves and realize this is a hard topic. And those organizations that are taking this very seriously and investing real dollars into it, they must show results, right? It's a publish or perish world, really. And these organizations have to have outcomes. And so part of the process is understanding that it's not everything at once. It's also understanding where to begin. It's asking the right questions, and the book covers this in great detail. Which questions are most important to ask in the beginning and really before starting to wade in? And that's the problem, because we didn't have a roadmap. We didn't have guides to get to where we are today. We've been making it up as we go. And one of the things that I did, Lisa, and you're familiar with this, is I took a step back for about 18 months and used my SaaS experience working in London as a director of organizations for 25 years, deploying SaaS technology through the entire SaaS wave. And I used my skill set to be able to start developing and building AI solutions that are fully integrated and embeddable within organizations as productivity tools to help organizations bridge the gap between knowledge and delivery. In that experience, I was able to understand more about what the complexities are facing organizations today. And there are tremendous complexities involved in the delivery of proper AI solutions. And that's where everyone is struggling, I believe. And I even say the companies that are the 16% that have seen success, they've had a lot of time and money to put into that success. It's not just happened overnight. But my hypothesis is those organizations that are successful have understood somehow along the way what leaders need to do and how culture needs to evolve and how people's roles need to change and evolve in order to create that success within the organization.
Well, just to unpack it just one more notch further. So is it just taking it to the basics? Is it addressing the people's fears that AI is going to replace them and just telling them how their roles are going to shift within the organizations and that the human plus AI can be a superpower rather than just saying, yeah, yeah, right, and not adapting the technology?
I think, yes, let's unpack that a little bit more. And I've believed all along, as I've worked in the career space, that we would never have technology come into our organizations that would eliminate the need for humans. And I've instinctively or intuitively been on that train for a while. And I've really been frustrated hearing, people thinking that AI is somehow a human reduction or a cost reduction solution. It's a significant investment, and it's a significant investment in human talent and human skill development. And so the first part always begins with assessment and looking for leadership clarity around what that means. Who owns AI decisions? Who approves use cases? Who defines acceptable risk? Who decides when human judgment must remain central? And that's a key part or a key theme of the activity. In the research that I've done, it says that for most governmental bodies, that between now and 2030, we're going to create millions and millions of jobs. The market is not going to decline. And also we talk about a word, displacement, that so many people are going to be displaced by AI. And of course, roles are going to change significantly. But organizations have to ready themselves to understand what that means for themselves. It does not automatically happen. People aren't going to lose their jobs automatically because AI, the magic tool, has arrived. It's going to, displacement of people doesn't always actually mean people losing their jobs. It means people changing roles and for organizations to become more adaptable within this framework. So workflow readiness, business processes that are actually worth improving, those are where the organization should begin. And learning where to make decisions at the right speed, so they're not too expensive and they're not too risky to deliver. Management readiness. Managers are an important part of this. They're a layer where AI strategy becomes daily behavior. And if managers don't understand review standards, escalation thresholds, or quality expectations, adoption becomes inconsistent. Assessing governance and trust. It's a huge part of cultural awareness and cultural functionality within organizations. And so organizations that don't have trust or have low trust or diminished trust because of AI implementation or because of lack of ability to talk with employees about what displacement is going to look like, they're going to, without AI, they're going to diminish the relationship they have with their team. And so it's really critical at this stage for leaders to take a stance and to understand where this project begins, what's going to happen first, and what the trajectory is looking like for each area of the business. And this goes into the C-suite, and this goes across the organization for directors and managers, and to assure employees what their future looks like. It's really critical.
Yeah. I mean, the fear of being replaced by AI is real for a lot of people at every level of an organization. Like leaders are feeling it too, even if they won't say it out loud. How do you talk to an executive team about displacement, growth, workforce development in a way that actually lands without dismissing the fear?
The fear is real. And how I like to have those engaging conversations starts like this. Where did you learn about AI? Tell me the beliefs that you have about AI. Where did they come from? And that normally captures people's imagination a little bit. They have to start thinking back, well, why do I believe what I believe? And what I like to do in those conversations is to reflect statistical reality and to talk about the requirement for human judgment and the need of how people will uh, drive and deliver AI. Not that AI is going to replace people and drive and deliver people away from the business. And the statistics just show the opposite, that people are going to be more necessary. And one of the other conversations I like is when someone says, well, if one employee could replace 100, wouldn't we be cutting costs? And I think, well, if one employee replaces 100, why don't you have two or 10 or 1,000? And well, then the next response might be something like this. Well, the market demand. Well, I think the response must be understood that if you had an environment where you had no constraints or fewer constraints, resources, people, talent, capacity, capability, would you be able to be in a more ambitious organization? Would you be able to do more, deliver new products, service customers better, retain customers, find new markets, new channels, new countries to work in? And I think the answer for ambitious organizations is yes. And those organizations are the ones who are going to benefit the most from AI. Those organizations who have ambition, leaders who see a future for their organization and not looking for a way to contain and control costs and reduce costs. So I think that's really a fundamental aspect of leadership, that they have to see the investment in AI as a serious readiness exercise for
Oh,
themselves.
I love that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, you say readiness comes before ROI. So I love that. So walk me through it. An executive team is sitting in a room right now. They have a budget approval and they're ready to move. What are the first three things you make them look at before a single tool gets purchased?
What are the workflows? Where's the data? And who are the people that are going to be assigned and prepared to take on those assignments? And what understanding level do those individuals and themselves, the leaders in the room, have about those decisions? Where will they get that information? And that's really the fundamental starting point. And asking those questions first, not which tool, not how fast, not how fewer people, but where are we going to make the greatest impact? And all the work that's been done up to now is not for waste. It's experimentation. It's part of the learning journey.
Right. I love how you are a visionary. Like you see the future of a company. The fear is real. I mean, it's real. We're both acknowledging it. You can
Mhm.
look at the news and the layoffs and this and that. And the thing is that things are just pivoting so fast. I remember in pandemic, I was super freaked out when it first happened and I had to pivot. And the thing is, life is fluid and it's just changing now faster than it ever has. So if you can encourage people like yourself to be a visionary and just see a more productivity and a greater future for their company, how can they start just seeing a bigger vision and just I talked about this in my live video this week about this crazy McDonald's moment and just bring it back with a little humor, how they rolled out a technology that just kept adding chicken McNuggets to every offer. So, I mean, obviously, there's definitely some kinks in the plan when you're starting to roll out in the first place. So, how can you just encourage people to keep their sense of humor and be a visionary like yourself?
Well, that's in the there's an entire chapter about that around culture and about understanding that what you just described is pretty much the case study for all of us. It's not really just McDonald's, it's everyone who's having those challenges. And then the question is, well, where's the responsibility in that? And obviously leaders take responsibility, but so often they pass responsibility to the lowest common denominator, the person who didn't make the right decision, so to speak, in the process of delivery. But I challenge that the decision making process for the McNuggets error goes back to the mindset and the direction of the plan to start with. And maybe it was some person who made a simple error. The importance is to build trust and understand that this is new technology. I also talk with quite a few people that it feels like we're taking a step back. If you think a few years ago, pretty much everything seemed to work well, and we were implementing systems and solutions that once they got delivered to the commercial space, ready for launch, they were virtually ready. And we've taken a step back now because we're unsure about how AI is going to actually operate. And again, that's why it's so important to have layers and layers and layers of leadership and decision making and governance and trust building. It's management 1001, not management 101, and it's leadership 1001, not 101. We have 101, and we have 101 management and leadership already in the bag, so to speak, with a lot of people in a lot of organizations. But this is truly a much grander uh, activity for leaders to take on. And it is a challenge and it is a test. And you asked me, what does failure look like? Well, I'm not going to say McDonald's failed, but how they treated their people after that failure is really the test. And how prepared they were to be able to address that with their customers and how to speak about that internally is really the test's results.
Oh yeah. It's like a new kind of leader is needed now. We have to be more empathetic. We have to build that trust. We have to keep the engagement and the quiet quitting. So I could talk to you about this topic all day long because I'm super passionate about it, but I know it's a short podcast. So where can
I know
people find you, your new book, and more information?
you can find me at philliproark.com, and they can also find the book on Amazon now. It's published, and there's a ebook for Kindle and a paperback and hardbook copy available. And I really encourage leaders to take a moment to see this as a roadmap, as a field guide. I'm not sure if people want to read the book from beginning to end. I think there's benefit in doing that, but it's more beneficial when looking at where your challenges are and studying the sections of the book and finding ways to prepare yourself to deal with the areas where you may have the least strength on your team. And that's another good use of the book and the title itself and the contents that are within. So,
Okay, once again, what's the name of the book and the website?
harnessing the power of AI, a roadmap for successful leadership, and it's featuring Dr. Grant AI, which is a power voice or a pressure voice within the book. It's an AI voice that responds to the hard questions and asks the harder questions that we all need to be thinking about. And the book is available on Amazon, and my website is philliproark.com.
Thank you, Phillip Corey Roark, for being a fabulous guest. You are the
Thank,
best. I always enjoy talking to you.
thank you. Me too. I enjoy being here. You're such a great friend, and I enjoy the opportunity to present this information to leaders